All right, happy hump day, my fiends. I am doing the podcast today, by the way, shirtless and in my PJs, because I know you care how I dress for the podcast you can't see. I am also under the influence of Fireball. So let's see if I can stay awake. From Hollywood, it's the world-famous Mojo Elliott here to drive you mad with another action-packed adventure of the Rat's Ass Podcast. Thanks for being here. Got to say thanks to Louis K. from Bristol, Rhode Island, who recommended I do a shot of Fireball before bedtime, and it would make me help sleep like a baby. And hopefully get me past my insomnia. And he's right, man. This stuff is voodoo in a bottle. I've been getting 8 hours a night when I do a shot before bedtime, so thank you very much, Louis, for the recommendation. I found a pint for $6.66. If that's not a sign, I don't know what else is. 127 million people watched the Super Bowl on Sunday. It peaked at 135 million. I think they tuned in and said, 24-0, let's go put on a movie. I'd like to see the numbers from quarter to quarter, specifically the halftime show, because that's all I've heard about. Nobody's talking about the game. They're talking about the halftime show. Did you like it? What about the performance? Is it memorable? Is it not memorable? So I got wrapped up in all the hoopla, and I went, found the game that I recorded, fast-forwarded to the halftime show last night, and watched it. And I'll sum it up this way. A year from now, I don't think the masses are going to remember who did the Super Bowl show. I think it's probably the most forgettable Super Bowl halftime show of all time. A year from now, I'll ask that question. Who did the Super Bowl last year at the halftime show? Definitely wasn't Prince quality. All right, Doge is really causing the Democrats to melt down like butter on the microwave on high, aren't they? My God, Elon Musk is in their sights. Did you see the low-life Democrats having their rallies yesterday? And the best didn't offer up any ideas of their own, mind you. All they could say is, we got to fuck Trump. Yeah, I'm not going to bleep it out. That's what they said. We got to fuck Trump. That's their big idea. Okay, they're trying to rally everybody, get everybody all riled up, emotionally charged like they do because they have no frickin' ideas. And that's why we have Donald Trump as president right now. But these are the low-life sons of bitches that run our government on the Democratic side, and you voted for them, Democrats. Are you happy? You know, Doge calling out Democrats, let me back up. They started screaming that we are having a constitutional crisis by having Elon Musk and Doge look into the finances of all these government agencies that have been wasting our tax dollars for decades. All right, so it is not a constitutional crisis. Okay? They're just looking for lies, fraud, abuse. We're sending people Social Security payments that are on the books at 150 years old. 150 years old, we're sending out checks. Some of them might get cashed, some of them might not. The fact is, they're not doing the due diligence to say, you know what, somebody's 150 years old, maybe we should check and see if there's an obituary for this person. This is the kind of stuff they're looking for to trim it out. The Democrats, their hair is all on fire and fuck Trump and all this bullshit. You know what? It's not a constitutional crisis, gang. It's exposing them for their corruption. And their reaction is proof of their guilt, in my opinion. You may think differently. You know, FEMA is now in their sights. They fired 4 people for sending $59 million for illegals in New York hotels after they were told to freeze it. So 4 people got fired. I'm sure those 4 people were the fall guys for the uppers in FEMA, but they're the next to get examined. They're going to be the next USAID. That's going to be fun. All right, it's time to play Head Trauma. This round is called Liar, Liar. I'm going to share something with you about myself, and you just have to guess if I'm lying or not. Did you know I once held the record for creating the world's largest peanut butter and jelly sandwich? We had a pizza shop donate the dough, and we created 3 15-foot-long slices of bread, took it out to a football field, lined it up. It was 45 feet long, and it was a thing of beauty. We had Skippy donate the peanut butter. Knott's Berry Farm donated the blackberry jelly, and we went to work. That means me and 500 kids that the parents had brought out to the football field to do this. We had promoted it on the radio show, and it was fun. We were all purple by the end of it. But that's how we did it, and it was considered to be the world's longest peanut butter and jelly sandwich at that time. I'll have the answer for you coming up, but you have to think, am I lying or not? I'll also post it on the Facebook page. Connect with us at ratsasspodcast.com. All right, are you ready for some loose behavior? All right, here's what's happening on the Rat's Ass Podcast X feed. Damian Scott posted this one. Have you ever quit a job on your first day? I did this, and I was embarrassed by it. Didn't talk about it for years. I was so embarrassed by it. Not anymore, and I'll tell you about it in a second. But here are what other people said, posted on this question. Tank driver said, I worked one shift at Chipotle and never went back. Then I joined the Marines. Think about that. Couldn't hack Chipotle, but he could hack being one of the few and the proud. Tank, thanks for your service, man. Appreciate it. Grumpy Peach said, I worked 12 hours at a new job scrubbing fryers and cooking chickens. Wow, that's a nasty job. Then I worked 8 hours at another job, and I'd been awake for 24 hours. And the boss at my new job called and asked me to work another 12 hours. And I told him I'd been up for 24 hours. He didn't care. So I quit, hung up the phone, and went back to sleep. Probably a good decision, Grumpy Peach. I mean, how productive would Grumpy have been after being up 24 hours? If the boss says, no, I need you to come in and work another 12 hours. What was it, a minimum wage job probably, and we're not curing cancer with that one. We're not saving lives. Arcareus said, I got a job detasseling corn, and I quit because there were so many damn spiders and spider webs. You know, growing up as a kid, man, we had a cornfield in the back, and we would go out, and there were spiders all the time there. So I get it, but it brought back that memory. But I did, when I was in high school, my senior year, I was working in a pizza shop, and I wanted to make more money. So there was an opening at a factory called the Finger Factory. Didn't really understand why it was called the Finger Factory at the time, till I went to interview. And during the interview, I guess they just fell in love with him. They said, when can you start? And I said, I can start right frickin' now. And they said, okay, let's do it. So they handed me the hard hat, the glasses, the metatarsal gloves and shoes. And we went out on the line. They started introducing me to people where they basically had printing presses that were slamming down, making like things out of tin. Whether it would be lids for those big Christmas cookie jars that you would get, or cans, popcorn cans. They would make those old TV trays. But everybody I met was missing a finger or a thumb or something like that. The last guy that I met only had one finger, and guess what finger it was? I took that as a sign, and I gave the lady back the hat, the glasses, and the gloves, and the shoes, and I said, you can take this job and shove it. Went back to slopping pizza, but I was embarrassed because, you know, I quit a job on day one, couldn't hack it, but I just, you know, something about having 10 fingers and 10 toes for that matter. Who knows if those people were missing toes? I don't know. But at 18 years old, that wasn't going to happen. All right, let's get into today's Celebrity Sleaze. Motley Crue frontman Vince Neil's private Learjet, a 1989 Lear, crashed at Scottsdale's airport, killing the pilot, unfortunately, and severely injuring his girlfriend. Reports say she had 4 or 5 broken ribs and injured her friend who was flying on the plane. Now, you might think Vince has had a spectacular life, and he probably has. I know he has. But he has had so much tragedy wrapped around his life, going back to the 80s, about 40 years ago. He was in a deadly car crash in Redondo Beach that killed Razzle from the band Hanoi Rocks. They were pretty good friends, and that messed with him for many years. And then, if that wasn't enough, he lost his 4-year-old daughter, Skylar, to cancer. Can you imagine 4 years old and losing your daughter? He also battled a lot of demons, alcohol demons, drugs, everybody in Motley Crue did. But you know what? Vince, I've got a pint of Fireball here, and I'm going to take a shot for you, brother. That wasn't a shot, that was just a sip. But God, that's such good cinnamon whiskey. And it's whiskey that will make you frisky too, by the way. Rob Lowe has dropped hints that there could be another St. Elmo's Fire, starring the original cast depicting how their lives have turned out. The original was a classic. It was done about 40 years ago. And do we really care of seeing the Brat Pack in their 60s? Do we really care about that? Good luck finding Judd Nelson, too, by the way. This guy's disappeared off the face of the earth. Nobody knows where he is. So I guess they could play him off as that. Well, it's unfortunate that he died. They'll get around it. You can write around that stuff. But no doubt, if this gets out that they are considering this, people are going to start talking about, hey, do you think Rob Lowe and Demi Moore did the nasty for real? I don't know about the nasty, but they both deny having sex. Jason Kelsey said he and his brother Travis went months without talking to each other before starting their podcast together. And that's code for Jason saying, I'm jealous that you're tapping Taylor Swift and I'm not. But you know what? I went 10 years without talking to my evil prick brother Raymond, so a few months, don't think that's a big deal. I think there'll be times if they quit their podcast, they will separate and go live their lives. Travis will go marry Taylor. They'll hump up a whole generation of little itty bitty, Travis and Taylors, and they may go only see each other at Christmas. Sometimes that happens in families. All right, Kendrick Lamar, who did the Super Bowl halftime show, is taking a ration of crap, not only for his performance, but turns out he was wearing women's jeans, size 29. But I say, hey, if you don't need the ballroom, who gives a rat's ass? All right, here comes the Rat's Ass Podcast email from our Gmail. You email your questions, comments, thoughts, and observations to me at ratsasspodcast@gmail.com, and I respond. No topic is off the table. Good luck offending me, too. It's just not possible, so bring it all on. The more outrageous and salacious, the better. I do not read your email in advance. My producer, Fleabag, forwards me your name, where you're from, and rewrites them so I can respond rapid fire on the fly. And he has warned me up front that today is going to be very, very salacious. So maybe I should have another sip of Fireball before we get into this. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing it here. Oh, God, that is so good. All right, Kim G. Encino, California said, I did a stupid thing. I had a fight with my boyfriend of 4 years, went out with my girlfriends to the party. I ended up having a quickie with a guy from Texas, and I don't even know what his name is. Should I tell my boyfriend or not? Oh, yeah, you did a stupid thing, Kim. I can't tell you what to do here. I don't know your relationship that well, but 4 years, huh? And you felt that a quickie was the right thing to do. Probably had a few, maybe you were on Fireball, I don't know. But here's the two things. If you don't tell him, and you're the only one who knows, it's going to eat at you forever how long your relationship with this young man lasts. And if you tell him, if he has any self-respect at all, he's going to walk. And here's why. Because you took 4 years and felt that it was so valuable that you gave it up for a pickle tickle. So you got a tough decision to make, and I'm not going to help you make that. But I appreciate you asking the question. But yeah, I agree. You did a stupid thing. Aaron B., Sarasota, Florida said, Valentine's Day is Friday, and I just blew my wad on Christmas. What's a cool non-traditional gift I can get my lady that won't bust my nut? Well, first of all, Aaron, I love the way you write your questions, man. Fleabag, did you give me that as written? You did. Okay, yeah, but that's how I wrote it. I blew my wad and bust my nut. So, yeah, I appreciate that kind of writing. I really do. You know what? I don't know how much money you got left, but a couple $100 shouldn't bust your nut. But I think women love to be pampered on Valentine's Day, to send them out, get their hair done, do a facial, a massage, do her nails, get her all guzzied up for you. When's the last time you heard a word like guzzied? That's got to be the Fireball talking. That's all I can tell you. But I think something nice like that she would appreciate. So give that a shot. And if you can't afford a couple $100, 200, if you can't afford $200 to $250, buddy, you probably shouldn't have a girlfriend today. Austin A., Marietta, Ohio, said, I saw my mother leaving it. Oh, my God. Yeah, Fleabag, these are salacious. I saw my mother leaving a cheap hotel with some douchebag who turned out to be my real father. They've been divorced for years and are now remarried. I don't have a relationship with him, but I do with my mother. What's the best way to approach her about this? Wow, I've never had a question like this before. So your mom was in a hotel walking out, and she was having the hot, lovely relations with your real father, even though she's married to your stepfather. Wow. Boy, I'll tell you, humans really make their lives a mess, don't they? I mean, I'm having coffee too here, by the way. Coffee and Fireball. This is a tough one. I would say just say to your mom and see how she reacts to it. Because this is a chance for you to find out if your mom's been honest with you over the years or not, I think. I would just say, hey, Mom, saw you coming out of the Motel 6 the other day. And just let her answer. See what she says. See if she comes clean. And then if you want to expand upon the conversation, if she lies to you and if she tells the truth, you can have a chat about it. But obviously, she has a thing for your old man's, what did the guy call his girly humper? Somebody had called it the other day. It happens. It just happens. Human beings, my God. Marla H., Bradford, England. I'm curious, do you think American men are interested in women from other countries or just American women? You know what? I think if the chemistry's there, Marla, they're all fine with it. We see it here in California. There are so many different mixed races dating and stuff like that. So I think it really comes down to chemistry. I don't think it matters if you're from England, from America, if it's good chemistry. You know, I had 3 dates with an English girl that I met back in Phoenix when I was about 22, 23 years old. And I took her on 3 dates. But at the end of every date, would take her to home, and she would say, would you like to come up for tea? And I said, I don't drink tea. I don't like tea. And I would say, I got to go. I got to get up for work in the morning, because I figured I'm going to go sit for an hour and drink tea and have a conversation. Well, I found out later that would you like to come up for tea was the same as would you like to have a cup of coffee. It means come up and have a cup of me. So I missed out. Let's just say I didn't swim the English Channel on that one. All right, Karen B., Katy, Texas. I'm sleeping with my boss, and she happens to be married. Okay. She said, this isn't going to end well for me, is this? Obviously, this is a lesbian relationship. And she's married. Now, I don't know if she's married to a man or a woman. Left out that detail, Karen. Bottom line is, when the relationship ends, and it will, you're going to have to find another job. Sean O. from Cork, Ireland said, is there really a YouTube backlash in America? Nothing salacious about this flea bag. I guess you wanted me to calm down a little bit. Wow, that was 5 salacious questions. That was like going through a gauntlet on that one. I need to get another shot of Fireball before I answer Sean's question. And again, I'm not doing shots, just a little sip. I'm going to get hooked on this stuff. That's probably not a good thing. 666 for a new habit. Sean O. from Cork, Ireland said, is there really a backlash on U2 in America? You know what? I think that you read this stuff, Sean, and people do this. If you write something nice, people don't read it. Or that's the belief. So they tend to have to trash things to get people to read. What are they trashing? What's the negative vibe here? U2 did a residency, about a year ago. I think it was for 6 months at the Sphere in Las Vegas. And I remember reading every single show was sold out. And the Sphere holds 18 and a half. I think it's 18,500 people. So that's every show sold out for 6 months. Overall, I think they drew close to 750,000 people. That doesn't sound like a backlash to me. And by the way, Joshua Tree, still one of my all-time favorite albums by U2. So I don't think there's a backlash. I think you're just seeing just the negative press that comes out. All right, if you have any thoughts, observations, comments, or questions, send them to ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. Head trauma. Let's get to the answer. Am I lying my ass off or not? I shared this about myself. I once held the record for creating the world's largest peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay, am I lying or am I telling the truth? Am I lying or am I telling the truth? Da-da-da. What do you think? Am I a liar? Are my pants on fire? I am drinking Fireball. It's the absolute 100% truth. It was in 2002, but the record has been wiped off the map. High school in Denver built one 107 feet long, set in 2016. I did 45 feet. That's 15 yards. They did 107 feet. Can you imagine? Peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I bet you. I wonder if they used strawberry or if they used blackberry. They either would have been red or purple by the end of that. But that sounded like fun. So congratulations to them for breaking the record, but I did hold the record for a little bit anyway. All right, how'd you do? Did you think I was lying or did you think I was telling the truth? If you missed it, go see a doctor about your head trauma. All right, I got a bottle of Fireball here, as you know, waiting on me, so I do have one more thing for you, though, before we split. Studies show people who use their cell phones more often are more than likely to have a hard time sleeping at night and may experience symptoms of depression. Yes, that nasty old cell phone that I happen to spend quite a bit of time on during the day. But that's okay. I'll just keep using my phone and drinking the old Fireball here. I've got shout-outs from our social media followers today on X. Thanks for following us. To Griff Jenkins from Fox News, Grace Hill from the Elon Musk cybersecurity team. I feel like I'm being watched on X, and I don't blame them. Jared Mayer, who is new to X, to the family of delinquents on X. So welcome to X, Jared, and thanks for following the Rat's Ass podcast. On TikTok, Steve Sexton, Brian Burt, and Sandra Bannon. On Facebook and Instagram, I'm going to shout out a couple of friends here. My friend Chachi Dennis from Benstown, and my former radio comrade and morning show partner in crime, Jeremiah D. Shoop, one of my favorite people in the world. All right, that's it for this episode of the Rat's Ass Podcast. Make sure you check out the new ratsasspodcast.com to there's the fireball. Connect with us on the socials, listen to the podcasts, and check out the blog. You can also now officially sign up for Rat Nation. Go get that done. You'll also find a new feature called Radio Wars. We put that up on the Rat's Ass Podcast blog, where we pit the best radio stations in America against each other. It's just kind of fun. We'll do this again on Friday, February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, and I'll be full of sugar for you, I promise. Take care of each other, and thanks for dropping by the Rat's Ass Podcast.